it's good. I really hope that it pans out okay. I'm very upset to hear that you can smash bridges. I hope that isn't a real-time thing. I hope that's like a... You smash the bridge in your turn and then like it falls through, and that isn't like a PvP thing or anything. That would be disgusting. Oh yeah, Langrisser Sea of Sword on Steam. Fucking so it is. Well, shit. Oh, it even says on here, developer, Blackjack Studio, publisher, Hong Kong Game Tree Limited. Yeah. And it says on Blackjack Studio is a subsidiary of on games. Yeah, I'm hoping so, Katie. I really don't want to see sort of Convaleria mechanics in Langrisser. I cannot express enough how I do not want to see that shit ever again. Like, fuck explosive barrels. Absolutely fuck ledge out, like knockouts, like ledge outs. They're just not good they're not fun. They often make the game more about that than the actual combat and the actual units. Hey folks. Yeah, no, it's a really good sign. It's on Steam. I wonder when this is coming out. Like, they have quite a lot of artwork for it. Weird. This kind of came out of nowhere. Fuck X. Oh shit, we're meant to be attacking. Ah shit. Oh, they have a Discord now. I looked for the Discord last night and they didn't have it up. So either it's new or I'm stupid. Yeah, I'm interested. Like I'm really genuinely interested in seeing how it goes. Can you give me the link to the Discord? I can't see it. I wasn't the Langrisser guy to start with. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, it's really new. It sounds like, from what I've read, yeah, it sounds like there is like they are trying to move into beta in China. The first teaser, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. There's no gameplay. It's a million miles away. So I was really shocked when they came out with that. I was really, really shocked. Yeah, I didn't mean to. I tried to go for a nauseated face and hit him with a Ben Cheers. These things happen. Holy nostalgia. Yeah, I hope it's good, really. Just hope it's good. Yeah, it's gonna be the same people. It's gonna be all the same people. Yeah, I'm looking down the list. I've seen a bunch of familiar names. Ugh, per platypus. God, I fucking hate that guy. He's such a knob. Oh. I can't remember which game it was. Was it Etheria Restart? Was it sort of convalescent? I think it was Etheria Restart or something. Where he was just like, oh, there's all this streamer drama, and you guys know how much I hate drama, but let's talk about all this streamer drama. I'm gonna make a load of drama. Fucking yuck. What an absolute cunt. Like, the guy, oh man. Fucks me off. Per platypus. It's like a YouTuber or something. If you're gonna do streamer drama, just be a, like, don't be a bitch. Don't be a little bitch and just admit that you're doing drama, you know? Don't pretend like you're not doing drama if you're doing drama. Jesus, man. Have some self-respect. Ooh, I hate drama. You guys know how I hate drama. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, Hawkeye obviously big sort of Convalaria. King. Mitch Izak in there as well. Mitch Izak was a huge Langrisser streamer for a long time. Burned himself out. He like carried the English streaming community for a really long time. I actually really liked Mitch Izak. Like, he put like no effort into grinding or managing his units at all. And he was just really good at the game. Like, just played it a bunch, just really good at the mechanics of the game. He's like, I don't know, Polish or something. He had a really dry sense of humor. He got a bit mad sometimes. It's just generally quite fun to watch. Oh, dude, it really fucks me off. It really fucks me off, Wanton Bear. Just man or woman or anything else up, you know? And just fucking own it if you're gonna do that shit. Michizak, yeah man, Michizak is a beast, dude. He played with like completely off meta, like 3-4 season old units, and he would just still dominate people because he just had such a good mind for the game. He didn't even play a lot, like compared to a lot of the people. It was so frustrating to play against him. That was the kind of game that Langrisser was, though. Like you could genuinely make stuff that nobody really expected work because of the incredible complexity of the game. For people who, I don't know if they'll do this in Langrisser Sea of Sword, by the way. I don't know if we'll see Apex or whatever, but like, if anyone likes that kind of like very strategic, almost chess-like kind of gameplay, that's what Langrisser's all about. Yeah, that's right. Like, so I don't know if we played for a long time a game called Blood Bowl, which is a Games Workshop game. It's like a tabletop American football game. Very heavy dice focus in the game. Like everything is like super probability focused. But due to it being probability focused, there's still a lot of skill behind it in terms of managing probability. And that can be applied to Langrisser as well, at least in the earlier days. Massive like probability game, right? Your job when you play Langrisser, to play Langrisser well, is to play around the probability of things happening. You take chances when you have to, and you play safely when you don't need to take chances. And that's what really makes a good Langrisser player. That and knowledge of what everything does. And all of the weird little interactions between abilities in the game, of which there were a lot. It's a big knowledge game. And you need a statistical mind. At Blood Bowl, that's alright at Blood Bowl. Senna's really good at Blood Bowl as well. Senna barely, like, Senna picks it up and was really good at it. After playing it for like barely any time compared to me, certainly. Senna's very, very good at Blood Bowl. Langrisser, when I tried really hard, I was pretty good at it on the Southeast Asia server. But it's a game that you have to practice a lot. You need to scrim and practice a whole bunch because the pick bands and the general gameplay are really hard in PvP. Like it is not Epic 7. You know, like these are not short matches with very little thought. You have this whole pick ban phase, which is very, very, very difficult to get right. Like you can lose the game easily just in pick ban. Because you can see their whole box and you have to do like, what is it like? Pick, ban, pick, ban, pick, or something like that. Yeah, it's like actually crazy complex. It's not a gacha game level of complexity. They tried to do it in sort of Convalera, implemented it awfully, and people absolutely hated it. Yeah, even the mental of playing your box, high skill impression. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you could do everything in between as well. And the really good players, like, you would see really, really good players who sometimes would be running like a heavy tank box, but they would just let people ban them out of their tanks in some situations, and they would be totally comfortable playing tankless as well. And that's terrifying, like, because most people, like, you try to ban pick them into a corner during ban pick, into like a really bad corner where they're like, they have to pick a healer or they have to pick a tank, and then that forces them out of like 2 of their powerful DPS or something. But like when you play against really, really good people and they're super comfortable with their box, they're just like, yeah, go ahead and ban my tank and healer. I'm going to pick my best DPS. If you want to spend your next 2 picks banning my tank and healer, I'm going to pick another of my best DPS and we'll just see how things go. And you're like, oh, fuck. Ah, shit. Yeah, so like, if you play that way, then you have to be comfortable with the idea that sometimes you are actually going to be tankless, unless you're willing to be, like, blackmailed, strong-armed into a tank pick every single game. Langrisser is both, or, like, a Langrisser mobile is both. It's what makes it such a good game. And, you know, it's not really so much anymore, because Power Creeper's really got to it, but, like, it has incredibly in-depth PvE and incredibly in-depth PvP. What it is not good for... Actually, that's not true. It is quite fun for casual players as well. But what it's not good for is people who like fast-paced gameplay. It's really, really, really not good for people who like fast-paced gameplay. Which, of course, means that it doesn't really attract any of the, like, Ho-Yo crowd or anything like that. Because the combat's slow. Like every combat is going to be really slow. It's going to take you a long time. The PvP matches will can easily last you upwards of an hour for a single game. Yeah, even the very best players in the game would run out of time because of how complex the Apex arena system uses, like a chess clock. Yeah, I ran out of time so much. When you watched me play, Senna, I was so uncomfortable in that meta. That was one of the worst. I mean, it was just the worst meta I've ever played. I was so uncomfortable in that meta. I just had no idea what was going on. It's awful. Like having to like count squares so intently due to the ridiculous power level of some of the shit. Was just bonkers. It's way beyond what I was used to. Like, I hadn't really played Apex in some seasons. The last time I played Apex, like, it was Lostem kind of era, where you had to count squares when there was a Lostem in play, but that was about it, really. Like, you had to count squares every now and again, but I was just, like, constantly having to be like, right, so this... What was she called? Ilsa, was it? This Ilsa, if she moves like this and then gets act again like this, then she can reach an extra 8 squares. So I have to... So basically, I have to move into this specific square here because I'm dead on every other map tile if they see the line. And it was just like that constantly. And don't get me started on those stupid COLLAB characters. The Captain Commando characters. Ugh. I think that was one of the real reasons why I quit the game, honestly. Those characters were just wrong. There's just something wrong with them. Now, the fact they were COLLAB characters as well, just disgusting. Oh, man. Just so gross. Disgusting, like, oh man, like, why did they make that stupid assassin so invincible? Absolutely shocking design, like, both aesthetically and mechanically. That would be my key hope for Langrisser Sea of Sword, to see characters with like 2 lines of text on their abilities. I'd be all over it. I want to see shit like heal for 100% healing. not heal for 100% healing. If it is a Tuesday, you heal for 30% more and apply 6 debuffs to the nearest 3 enemy units. If any of those enemy units already had a buff, then they lose their extra turn becoming stunned, unless they are immune to stun, in which case instead they act immediately. If they act immediately in this way, they cannot benefit from other act against skills for the rest of the turn, but instead they may move an additional 3 spaces, at which point they may end their turn. If they do so without attacking, then they may immediately act again. Some of those abilities are just like, okay, yep, okay. I may have missed something here. It had an island management box. Red, yeah, so Fire Emblem Hero is a shit game. Just want to preface here. Fire Emblem Hero isn't worth mentioning, isn't worth talking about in any, but I will humour you this one time, Acuben. But fuck Fire Emblem Hero, I don't care for it. Their characters are bullshit, they're terrible. The game is awful. And it's been power creeping since year 1. It's been power creeping horrifically since year 1. Their text boxes are like fucking Limbus essays. They're even worse than Langrissa's. Yeah, like Acuben. So when it came out about 6 months or so before Langrissa did. I think it was about 6 months. And I was really excited for it because I was like, oh, strategy RPG. Like, I haven't really played gachas before. I'd really like to give this a go, though. I like the Fire Emblem series played, and I was like, man, this really isn't that great. But I want to like it. I'll keep trying to play it. And then, like, it got worse and worse. And then Langrissa came out, and I was like, oh, I never really liked Langrissa. But I guess I could give it a go. And I played it. I was like, oh my god, this is so much better. What the hell? This is so much better. Like, everything is so much better. Every single aspect of it is so much better. Yeah, it came out like six months in global. I think Fire Emblem Heroes and Chinese Langrissa launched at the same time. And global came out about 6 months later. For Langrissa. But the difference was crazy. I couldn't believe how much better Langrissa was. And I never looked back. I immediately uninstalled Fire Emblem Heroes. I spent about half a day on Langrissa and I was like, well, yeah, guess I'm done with that. I mean, it depends when you would have played Langrissa. If you played Langrissa when it started, it was really awesome. Yeah, probably for like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. It was really, really fun. Had its ups and downs, but yeah, really, really fun just in general. But then it kind of dropped off a cliff. Basically, what happened in Fire Emblem Heroes within a year kind of eventually happened to Langrissa after 5 years. Blackjack Studios, Fox. Blackjack Studios is the studio that makes Mecharashi, the game that Narcos plays. Narcos, Mugen, Bellico, some other people. That studio is a subsidiary company of Slon Games. And what that means, for people who don't know what a subsidiary company means, that means that Slon Games has controlling shares in Blackjack. So it is kind of made by Slon Games, which is why it has all of the assets to Langrissa. I'm gonna guess that they were impressed by how Blackjack has handled Mecharashi. I'm just gonna go out on a limb. It's a total guess, and they were like, well, you guys might as well make this then. Which is why they probably handed down all of the assets and everything, as we saw in the trailer. Like all of the, like, for instance, the unit type icons were identical to like Demon, Holy, the Triangle, Archer, Assassin. They're all exactly identical icons. And also they seem to have the rights to the mobile characters, which are not, as far as I know, they are not owned by Langrissa. They are They were made individually by Xlong Games, like Matthew and those guys, Matthew, Grenier, Almeida, and all of the random mobile characters, things like oh my god, what's she called? Angelica? Acuben, you fucking troll. You're a bad man, dude. Yeah, the Gacha content creator team didn't really. So they sponsored PewDiePie to do a Langrisser video, which was hilarious because he was so uninterested. Yes, they take their gameplay mechanics very seriously, and it seems that even during their time developing Mecharashi, they've already kind of learned from the game. And if they are handling Langrisser, especially if it's got Langrisser mobile elements to it, they will probably be led by the hand by Xlong. It does look like it's very much its own. They've got their own take on it though, from that developers letter that Jesus, brain. That K18 very kindly linked. The whole like 2-unit sub-hero main hero thing looks really interesting. Merging together the troop types of both units, like so you end up that's a lot of customization to a unit. That's a lot of customization to a unit. I could see that being super fun, like super customizable, super fun to play around with. So many combinations. Well, before you would run a single unit with soldiers, and when I was reading that, I was like, oh no, they're gonna do away with soldiers. They're saying like soldiers are a backbone of Langrisser before, and it was like it sounded like they were gonna be like, but in this game that we're not gonna do soldiers. And I was like, oh, but no, they're making it so you can have two generals in one unit, a main general and a sub general, and they presumably the sub general lends. Sounds like you can swap between them. So you can swap between them to activate the other's skills, like to bring the other's skills online. And then the unit's troops are made up of both of the general's units. So you could have a mix of different. I don't even know how that would work out. There'd be some very complex math would be needed to figure out like how units will do against each other. It'll be all about the hit speed of the characters as well, which was a kind of low-key important thing in Langrisser that not a lot of people understood. Yeah, man. I'm excited for more news about it. I'm not excited about the game yet, but I'm excited for more news about it. I look forward to seeing what they come out with. Yeah, it was brutal, K18. There was a very smart player whose name has escaped me for the time being, who played on Southeast Asia, who actually did a number of videos explaining it all, explaining all of the random mechanics of the game, and they were like 3-hour-long videos discussing different aspects of how the numbers in the game worked, and how the interactions of units of like attack speed on soldiers worked, and how things varied based on the because different attacks that you use would have different attack speed animations. Certain attacks would have this like weird priority on them. And this was just one video, by the way. This is just one video. It's on like attack speeds and unit speeds. And there were some attacks that were renowned for having this like very quick speed or very slow speed. Oh, look at that bad boy. Oh shit, it's so late. I've just been yapping about Langrisser. Fuck. I didn't even realise it was bad. It was as late as it was. Shit. Yeah, we got a gun. 11-7-11. Hard to leave when you're here, yeah. And we just got a gun as well, so we're on a roll. We're due another one. Yeah, man. Like, the fact that I saw it and I was excited to play it. For me, Langrisser Mobile is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm not even talking like gacha games. The amount of hours that I sunk into that because I was so passionate about it, like learning things and trying to optimize different boxes, trying to figure out, like, the PvP was a big aspect of the game, but I did also just enjoy the PvE a lot as well. Super, super fun. I saw your screenshot, Senna. Ah, you already did 8 last light bonus, I see. It was sad? Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't sad. I don't get sad about that kind of thing. If I stop playing a game, it's because I don't want to play it anymore. And Langrisser had just reached a point where I just didn't really want to play it anymore. I found myself not wanting to log in. I found myself like not wanting to do dailies, and that is always like a coffin's call, really, for a game, for a gacha game, certainly. I just kept stripping away more and more and more things. I was like, I don't really need to do that, don't really need to do that, don't really need to do that. And then eventually I was just like, well, what am I even doing playing the game? Was that the debuff woman? Done it. Global debuff woman. Oh man. Ugh, global. Ugh, globals. Like, globals have no place in a strategy RPG. They have absolutely no fucking place. If you, like, it's one thing having an ability that has extreme range, maybe, but having one that is actually legitimately global, I just don't think that's fun or strategic. Yeah, towards the end of Langrisser, like, their power creep went... I say the end, I mean the end for me, because the game is still going. But, like, their power creep started crazy. Yeah, global debuff. So, like, you could... There was this... What did you do exactly, Senna? You could pick 2 units, was it? Or just 1 unit? 1 unit? And it would just dump a load of debuffs on them. Some of the most crippling debuffs in the game, like Silence... skill seal, heal block, all of that shit, all of that horrible, nasty shit, and it could target them anywhere on the map. Was it 3 targets? Oh my god, dude, why 3 targets? Oh. It was like, there were all sorts of other things. At that point, there was a mage who, after a couple of activations, could cover the whole map and blast the whole map. And if anyone got close to her, she could push everything back a huge distance to a point where she could, like, knock them into death fog over and over. There was a tank that was like a DPS that would revive like a bajillion times. There was another one who could move like the whole map and like negated all forms of defense and killed people through revives. There was just all sorts of bullshit at that point. There's a dragon that could carry 2 other units all the way across the map while putting down these squares that you couldn't immune, which made you freeze. It was just absolutely grim. Yeah, slow moving it. Oh no, Senna, I forgot about that. Yeah, like this mage that controlled the whole map. Also, when she extended out this aura, which let her hit different places on the map, like they hit anywhere on the map. The aura made everyone go more slowly through it. It made them have to spend 2, I think it was spend 2 terrain tiles to travel 1 through the first square that they entered, which was an absolute nightmare. Maybe it was every square, I don't remember. It was grim. Yeah, the power creep just got so wild in that game. The last time I played it, it was so stupid. Yeah, if I explain Dargers, I can't really. I don't know where to start with that character. And that, I don't even consider him to be one of the more degenerate characters. He was pretty bad, but like, I think a lot of the other characters were a lot worse than Dragon Slayer Vargas. He had like, he basically couldn't die. He basically had like an unlimited amount of revives. He would lose max HP every time he revived. Until he got down to 1 HP, he would just like unlimited revive. Unless you did something to him, I don't know. Yeah, that's the guy who like jumps across the maps and goes across the map, is totally immune to debuffs and one-shot someone through everything. Hello, Kai Kerry. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just about to go though. I was meant to go a little while ago, but I lost track of time splurging about Langrisser. Oh, right, I need to go or I'm going to be fucking shattered tomorrow. Just one more gun. We'll come back and finish this tomorrow. I need to do Metatron as well, I think, for Pillar of Flame. I think we probably need 1 Pillar of Flame. So we still have a bit more of this to do tomorrow. Then we need to do Proto Bahamut. I will probably have a look at the Wizardry stuff and Limbus stuff tomorrow as well. Unless the Wizardry stuff is obviously just fucking nothing again. In which case I probably won't bother. Right. Thank you everyone. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for chatting and thanks for keeping me company. I will be back tomorrow. We have a full-length stream. There's like some patch days for Wizardry and Limbus. I think Limbus has Railroad tomorrow. Wizardry has like Character Banner or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we see it. Have a great day. I will try my best. Thanks guys. Thanks once on Beth. Thanks Kaikuri. Thanks Senna. Thanks Kometsu. Thanks K18. Thanks Fox. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you Quantum as well. Thank you everyone else who's still out there. Thank you Akiben. Take care. Thank you very much. Good night guys. Bye bye.